guys, welcome back. Today I'm going to do a video on why we don't use doctors for the kids. I mean, for us as well at the moment, really, since having kids, but specifically for the children, and also pretty much why we opt out of using conventional medicine, certainly as a first resort. We do always keep the option open to use it as a very last resort, mostly in an emergency, something like a car accident or, broken bones. So we don't completely shun modern medicine, but it's definitely one of our last options. So none of us are currently registered with a GP, and I'd like to point out at this point that it's not a legal requirement for children to be registered with a GP. You have, as their parent, you have the legal right to choose what healthcare you use for your children. So they're not registered with a dentist, optician, doctor, basically because it's our primary health modality is alternative and natural medicine. And what the conventional systems of GPs, dentists, opticians use is allopathic medicine, which primarily targets the symptoms with drugs and medical interventions that go to cure the symptoms rather than dig out the root cure of the disease. So that's not something we feel we want to use as our primary healthcare. So if you do choose to register your children with a GP or any conventional healthcare, then it can get a little trickier, because if you then go to use that service and they give you advice and you decline, refuse the advice, at that point that can then invite a little bit more trouble legally, because you can be seen to be refusing medical advice. Whereas if you don't go and seek that medical advice in the first place, from that person, then that can get you out of problems down the line, shall we say. So I had no pre or postnatal care for any of my pregnancies. I had free births, which are also lotus births, which means you don't cut the cord, you let it fall away naturally. So I really only saw midwives to get clarification in writing of the pregnancy for any financial help I was getting, so just for really proof of that. And then also after the pregnancies, after the births, I needed to register and get birth certificates. So I needed to secure an NHS number, which only really a registered midwife can help you with. So that's the only real reason why I saw anyone during my pregnancies. I did have a pretty plain sailing pregnancy for all three of my children. So I didn't really need to seek help for any issues. But had I needed to, I would have rather opted again for an alternative holistic practitioner. So what next? So we've only ever visited the hospital with two of the three kids twice in the past, over a decade now. And one time was for my eldest son. He suffered quite a lot. He's probably the most sickly of our children. He's quite highly sensitive, and he had baby asthma at the time, and we encountered some mold in a flat, and he had quite a severe asthmatic episode, which went on for quite a couple of hours with intense screaming. So at that point, we did call in an ambulance to seek help with the breath release. And we did often manage to achieve that relief through just like blasting a hot shower and putting eucalyptus oil, and that would open up the lungs. But in this case, we felt that it was quite severe. So we did seek help, and ironically, we didn't really get very far. I mean, they did give us some oxygen to put on him, but apart from that, they wouldn't really look into it any further or provide any EpiPens for any reactions that he was having. So it was kind of a visit to the A&E room, just a wait for a few hours, and nothing really achieved, and we just ended up going home after that one. And then the second one was a bit more recently with my middle daughter. She found herself in a situation where she was riding in a car and the guy's car, who it was, had been baiting for foxes, I think the night before or something. And so he'd been using hot chili sauce, and it spilt where she'd been playing with her fingers on the car seat. And so then she touched her eyes, and we hadn't realized at the time what had happened. She just had a burning sensation in her eyes. And because we didn't know what the source of it was, we did seek some medical care to just check her over. And in that situation, it was a big regret to seek the medical care, I have to say, because she rolled in. She'd been playing in the gardens and the allotments, so she was all muddy and barefoot, didn't have a coat on, and it wasn't like a particularly warm kind of time of year, but she's a particularly hot child, so she doesn't really wear coats often anyway. And then at the time, she really didn't like brushing her hair, so her hair was a bit tangly. Of course, we went in the hospital and they asked for our GP and school and things like that for the child. And because we weren't registered with any of those, all the red flags went up. So I guess that kind of highlights one of the main reasons why I don't like to be registered with GPs for the kids and use sort of conventional routes of healthcare, because it does attract unwanted attention from social services and the like when you do things differently. And I just don't, isn't no malintent, it's just a lack of understanding of the lifestyle. And so also a big one for our kids is them obviously not the V word. I'm not going to talk about this one too much because YouTube's community standards don't like it, but the kids aren't conventionally immunized with vaccinations. So that attracts attention as well, even though most of them are very, very healthy and they haven't really even needed to visit a doctor. Um, so hang on, I'm just about to get interrupted. Hey buddy, I'm just doing a video. You right? Okay? Yeah. Do you want to take that outside? You're gonna sit with me. You can sit with me and do the video. So yeah, that was our experience with hospitals. And in future, I would definitely visit a hospital again in an emergency, but I would try and steer clear of it if I could, if I felt I could deal with it myself, because of the just because of the stress and the all the baggage that comes with being in that hospital situation. Um, so yeah, I mean, a lot of the reasons why I don't feel personally that doctors can't help us with our healthcare is a their lack of training in nutrition. I believe they only get about 6 months worth of training. But your whole, immune system is related really predominantly to your gut and your digestive system. So if you haven't got a thorough knowledge of holistic nutrition, I don't really think you can get to the root cause of what's going on when healthcare issues arise. And let's see, also, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, it's just the go-to sort of prescription for doctors, dentists, and opticians alike is the plaster, the band-aid over the wound, if you like. Let's see if we can just cover up the symptom. I mean, often, with things like dentists, they just want to drill out your mouth and shove artificial materials in, whereas your teeth reflect, much like reflexology of your feet, your teeth reflect what's going on with your internal organs. So it's not about just filling them in again and it's all going to be okay. The deep root problem's still going to be under that in your bodily system. So you need to really work on dealing with the root cause of it. So we did once visit a holistic children's clinic in Brighton with Yuli when he was younger. So as I mentioned before, he is a highly sensitive child and was a very sickly baby. And we haven't ever really sought a diagnosis for him, even though it's probably somewhere between being on the autistic spectrum. If anyone's ever heard of PANS or PANDAS, he ticks a lot of those symptoms. And I've also been looking into one called Fragile X syndrome, which he also ticks a lot of the symptoms for. At this moment in time, we've had discussions with him. He does suffer a lot from social anxiety, and he doesn't feel that he wants to go ahead and seek out a diagnosis and a label. But we do kind of constantly have conversations with him to chat about whether it'd be helpful to, and in the future maybe to do that. But at the moment, we're just quite happy managing it the way we manage it. And he's always been our healthiest eater. Because of his sensitivities, he tends to gravitate towards wanting the healthy food to make him feel better. And also recently he was a little bit sick, and he just naturally didn't want the stodgy foods for a whole week. He came off the bread and anything um, kind of sort of bakery related. Even came off of his hot food, didn't want the hot chips or veggie sausages or anything like that. He literally just ate fruit and vegetables, which was a brilliant cleanse. And I think he felt much better afterwards. So he's very good at self-medicating, at fasting himself. Us as the parents, we do take ourselves through dry fast to reset our immune system, but we don't enforce that on the children, because the children primarily, other than their autonomy to get to choose, is because they have all their stem cells still activated, and the whole point of dry fasting is to reactivate your adult stem cells that are dying off so that you can reboot your immune system, and they don't really need to do that till they're older. So we allow them to be guided by their own intuition of wanting to come off certain foods and not eat for a while. But we certainly wouldn't starve them, and we wouldn't take food away from them if they wanted it. But yeah, so how we manage fevers, I think, is a big question that comes up often on the social media. And we basically just let them run their course. We don't try and stop them, halt them, interfere with them. I mean, it does help massively that all my children have full-term breastfed, so they tend to still breastfeed through a fever, which can be very healing, because you get all those natural antibodies from their saliva passing through to your body, and then your body reacting and making the right antidote to anything that's going on in their body. So yeah, the fevers, it's really important that the body's internal fire trying to burn out all the toxins. So it's really important to let them run their course and let them heal the body. So we really, I think at best we try and give some doses of vitamin C, maybe in the form of camu berry powder mixed in with a drink. Feverfew, the herb feverfew, makes a very good herbal tea, which can help with fevers and migraines. But yeah, really we just listen to the body and allow the children to take on as many fluids as they want. But I mean, if it's a severe fever, even the body can reject that, sometimes it just does need to be left to do its thing, and then you eat and drink afterwards when it's calmed down. So that's how we manage fevers. We don't use Calpol, we don't interfere with drugs, we let the fever run its course. So yeah, I mean, by no means have the children got perfect immune systems or even the best diets. The middle child probably has the most sort of refined diet. As I said, that the eldest child, he has quite a healthy diet, and the youngest, she eats a bit of everything, which is great. But primarily we do look to nutrition, nature and emotional healing as therapy to maintain our health. And yeah, we try and just minimize stress, because stress is the number one cause of disease. And we do that by giving lots of connection to the children, by working through their emotional issues with them so they don't build up into something bigger. And yeah, really just harnessing the power of natural plant medicines. I'm not a big fan of homeopathy personally. I've tried it before, doesn't really sing to my heart. I like medicine in its natural form, and I feel like homeopathy is just kind of diluted it to a point where it's not whole from nature anymore. But we're big fans of herbal medicine, essential oils, just incorporating healthy foods into our daily diet. So Yuli will live on apple cider vinegar. He loves that on everything, on his chips, on his bread, which really helps with his digestive issues that he's had from a young baby, with a clogged up system. And what else? We all have regularly, we like to have chlorella tablets, which is like an algae, a whole food algae, which supplements us. We like eating nori sheets, which are highly mineralized. every morning we have a fresh smoothie with fruit and cacao powder, and that helps set us up for the day. We like to do lots of barefoot, which reduces inflammation in the body. And actually, I'm working on saving up to. I did used to have them. We used to have them when you was younger, but they died a miserable death. So we're going to save up to some more grounding sheets and grounding pillowcases, which have silver thread through them, and it helps you connect it to the earthing prong of your plug, and it helps send the earth's natural frequency through your body while you're sleeping and healing. Or you can get a mat for putting your feet on a rubber mat while you're on the computer or whatever in the day, and that will again connect you to the earth's energy and help reduce any inflammation in your body, and just help ground and earth you, which is a great healing tool. So yeah, there's lots of things we do, and I shall probably do the dog as well. He's a great healer. If the kid has like a something that's a sore on them, a cut, the dog will naturally come and lick, and he's got an antiseptic tongue, so that's great for that. And just having actually like an animal like a cat or a dog around, and any other pets you may have, greatly helps boost your family's immune system, helps expose you to all those lovely bacterias. And yes, buddy.
Talk to the video.
Talk to the video. You say hi.
Hi.
So yeah, that's about a little bit of everything we do. And I'd really like to just take you through a tour through some of the medicines that we use. I'll get Matthew to do that. I'll film it and he can take you through. And it's mostly really from our garden, the allotment and the kitchen that we store our medicines. We don't really have most of them in a medicine cabinet as such. So yeah, let's go ahead and do a little tour of that to finish this off. Okay, so Matt, hit us with a tour of our medicine kitchen.
Welcome to the lemon. No. So a medicine kitchen is obviously not. You can. It is as well as it's not. You can see that it's got some canned goods, which is obviously not medicine. It's just food. But for example, here we grew this at our allotment. So not just the eating of the food is medicine. The actual growing of the food is medicine as well. So it's a whole process. It becomes a habit and a lifestyle. And then throughout the kitchen, we've also got some examples over here, for example, where we've grown some mint in the garden and at the allotment, and then we've dried it out, and then we've kept it, and then that can go into some teas, and we can take mint to cool the inner fire and all that sort of jazz. And we've got some examples here of parsley. We've got a eucalyptus tree in our garden, which is pretty cool, so we've experimented with that. This has got to be my favourite. Oh, lemon verbena. Lemon verbena. It's got a scent like no other. So if you haven't tried lemon verbena, give that a try. But also you can see next door to it is our sugar. Now what are we doing in a medicine cabinet in the kitchen with some hardcore, and we've got a lot of sugar. So let's bring you this way. This is what this one's all about. In fact, funny enough, we're going to swing around just over here. First of all, if you just dive into there, a lot of sugar's gone into there. In there is some kombucha. We're making kombucha. The kombucha in the fermentation area is all the way over here. Have you ever seen yourself a SCOBY? Forgive the fruit flies. They're loving my fermentation area. But look inside that. That's a SCOBY. Okay.
What's fermented foods great for? With regards to immune system?
Well, essentially, we're talking about a healthy gut bacterium and microbiome, aren't we? Essentially, fermentation is what, in many respects, happens as part of a process of digestion and elimination. And a lot of these foods, so then it goes from there, and then it ends up getting bottled up and into here. And then also in this one, we've got another thing that we played around with. This is from the ginger. And we've also made, so again, we use the sugar to make the ginger, and we also make use the sugar to. Haven't got many of these left, so it's not the best example, but they're lovely little treats, and that's fresh ginger that we've now made as crystallized ginger. Which again,
ready for cold flu season, and also.
Oh, look at this!
Oh, it
was a non-alcoholic pina colada, but now it's elderberry, which we pop into teas, into smoothies, into juices, and that's again. So what we're basically doing is and then here we've got apple cider vinegar, which we use a lot of. Here we're doing more fermentation, but this is for ginger beer, anti-inflammatory and just really good for digestive fire.
And what's this plant, Matt?
We've got aloe vera for when you get yourself some burns, for example. And also for my own self with psoriasis, this is good for dry skin. You just pop some on it and it's happy days. Got some, it's not the most productive round. I've had better rounds, but this is the start of some microgreens. So you just, once they get to about this size, you chop them off, pop them in your salads, and then that's living food. Over here we've got some, chlorella. Chlorella is the go-to balancer because the kids, whether you like it or not, don't you kids? You love your sugar.
Do you like your sugar?
Yeah. And so then we have this as just it's really kind of our only food supplement that we buy that we don't grow our own selves or ferment or pickle or whatever.
There's one there, did they? No.
Yeah, no, but as in we don't, this isn't whole food, this is just a camu. So camu is in time of illness. It's stronger than your lemon. It's more higher concentration of vitamin C, so for your immune system, happy days. There's some peanut butter in there, which I love. Not sure
raw honey, no?
Raw, well, I don't know if that one's a raw honey, but it's definitely a biodynamic honey, and so
good for coughs and sore throats.
Coughs, sore throats, and then also just to help the medicine go down sometimes because the kids, as I say, elderberry, echinacea.
And coconut oil's a big one that we use for just about everything.
Oil pulling for the teeth, so gut, to dental hygiene. There's also some cacao powder lying in there as well.
Which we add to smooth as a Vitamix, very old Vitamix now, but it's still working.
It's taken a beating, but that shows you if you're going to invest in a food processor, invest in a Vitamix. They say. And then we've got I haven't organised this by any stretch of the imagination, but you've got turmeric, cumin, star anise, caraway seeds.
Oh, this makes one of your special illness drinks, doesn't it?
When the team are really under the cosh with either a cold or a flu, we mix a lemon with some turmeric. We also throw in some cumin as well, and at the back there is some celery seed. It's not the nicest tasting tea by any stretch of the imagination, but it kicks out whatever bad guys are in or forming, and it boosts your immune system again for a recovery phase. And then over here we're starting to build up our aromatherapy collection. I love the sweet orange one. That one's nice. Because again, funny enough, what you taste and what you experience in life comes through your nasal passages. So, in fact, funny enough, sometimes you're cooking and you might just get going with some.
Up there, it's one of your medicines.
Well, this is one of mine, but it's kind of run out now because again, brandy. So again, it's that high negative sugar. But essentially, what we throw in there is some Swedish bitters. So you get yourself a glass of brandy, and then here in Swedish bitters.
Not for the kids. Can we just point that out?
No, not for the kids. Just for me, because I have funny enough, the arthritis has stayed at bay for a long time. When though we're showing you food as a medicine, I've used dry fasting as a medicine, but we'll use that conversation for another time. But this has got aloe vera in it. It's got angelica, rhubarb root. It's got everything. Black snake, cardamom, valerian. Myrrh.
I think it's important to note not every medicine that all of us take, though. I couldn't drink this. This is disgusting to me, and I don't need it. My liver's functioning fine, so
no, and that's
not for me.
That's a good point about medicine. Is it's not one dress fits all. It's you working your own way through it. So kombucha has just made sense. We also make some sauerkraut, and the fermented foods make sense to me at the moment. They might not make sense, say, in 5 years' time or whatever, and I've read some works from some great health professionals who turn around and are massively against fermented foods. But I really find that they work within my diet. I like the whole process of making them. And so I think that's a lot of what you've got to do with food as your medicine. You've got to enjoy the process. You've got to enjoy
What's
the
your
end
favourite
product.
healthy food, Astara? Like a bit of nori, broccoli, don't you?
You're into your berries, aren't you, dude? Like your currants and stuff.
Yeah, currants.
And raspberries.
Yeah, raspberries.
And these are things that we forage from the allotment. So we grow them up at the allotment, and then also we grow some stuff in our own garden. So she's a berry fiend, but also, you're my little sugar monster, aren't you? You're gorgeous.
Yeah.
And so it's, again, part of food medicine is just about taking your time with it. So anyway, so we're going to attempt to do more with regards to pickling. Oh, we forgot to show you as well. We've got these going, which I do definitely consider to be a medicine. We foraged these a while ago.
Hang on, maybe we should show them in their whole form.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And these are
walnuts, and we're attempting to pickle the walnuts. I might have pickled them a bit late because we only found about this process, and I thought, oh, you know what, it might work, it might not. I've got another couple of weeks to find out whether that works. And then it's reusable. You collect the jars from other stuff and use them to make new stuff. Welcome to the kitchen. Peace out.